What's up, fuckers, and welcome back to another rebuild here on NBA 2K22 Next Gen. And it is finally time for our first big trade rebuild of the 2022 offseason. That being Dejounte Murray to the Atlanta Hawks. And, you know, I've given a lot of thoughts on this one, and this one to me still really doesn't make a ton of sense for the Spurs. So I'll read you the full trade. I'm sure a lot of you know what it is at this point. The Hawks will send out Danilo Gallinari, the Charlotte Hornets 2023 first-round pick, top 16 protection, and unprotected 2025 first-round pick, unprotected 2026 first-round pick swap, and an unprotected 2027 first-round pick in exchange for Murray, who is fresh off an all-star appearance and instantly forms one of the league's most polarizing backcourts, partnerships with Trae Young. You know what? I'll kind of get into my thoughts more in this video once we kind of get into it. I've given a lot of my thoughts on Twitter. If you guys want to check those out, make sure to go do that. The link's in the description. But, yeah, this one's a mind-boggler for the San Antonio Spurs. That being said, I'm super excited to do this from the Atlanta Hawks perspective of it. I think they obviously have a great young dynamic backcourt, and they obviously still have a lot of great young talent with this team. Before we do get into this one, of course, I do want to hear from you guys. I do have a lot of videos planned, but I still want to hear from you guys your thoughts on what are some other videos I could potentially do in the upcoming future. And while you're down there, do me a favor, if you have not done it yet, quick subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. You guys can leave a like on this video. It definitely does help out the channel a ton. And it does go a long way, man. This Spurs team, I think this Hawks team is definitely going to be really, really good. I will do the Spurs side of this if you guys do want to see that as well. But without further ado, man, the Dejounte Murray Atlanta Hawks rebuild. So it's pretty obvious that the Hawks are not done making moves. I mean, hell, at the time I'm recording this, free agency hasn't even started yet. You guys are seeing this one on Thursday. So free agency technically starts tonight at 6 p.m. I don't know if the Hawks are going to be really signing anybody, but I think a John Collins trade is still definitely in the realm. I think a guy like Kevin Hunter could definitely be moved. But as of now, I'm going to kind of rebuild this team the best way I kind of see fit. It's not going to be a realistic rebuild. I don't want anybody to think that before you get too far into the video. If you're looking for a realistic rebuild, I still think you should watch, but I don't think you're going to enjoy this one too much. Trae Young, obviously one of the best young players in the entirety of the NBA. I think he can definitely turn into an MVP candidate. Throughout the time in this video, obviously Dejounte Murray, I moved him to the shooting guard spot just because he's a little bit bigger. He's obviously the way better defender than Trae Young. I think he can be a little more versatile on the defensive end of the ball. I'm not saying he's a pure shooting guard, but you get my point. Bogdanovic is here. Kevin Huerter is here. And then I obviously drafted Adrian Griffin Jr. What pick was that? Number 16 in the 2022 NBA draft. We move on. Deandre Hunter, who I still think has a lot of potential. I'm excited to see if we can use him here and develop his game just to kind of become over and again at the next level. John Collins, who's probably somebody I'm going to keep, obviously is locked up on a pretty decently long-term deal. I don't really see a real reason for me to trade him. I know he wasn't necessarily happy with his role in Atlanta, but from my perspective, I play a virtual fake video game where I don't have team chemistry, and I don't really have to worry about anything like that. So, John Collins is here to stay for now, at least. He progresses quite well. I like Jalen Johnson a lot. I think he can continue to progress, continue to be pretty solid off the bench. Then there are some Clint Capella trade rumors floating around. I don't know if they're going to move him. Obviously, they do have a Okongwu as well. I'm not saying they're, like, able to swap out Clint Capella for Onyeka Okongwu, but I'm saying you definitely could have a worse replacement if they were able to move on from Clint Capella. So we definitely do have some flexibility with this team. Another thing we got going for us is this is a really, really deep team, which is something I obviously do like quite a bit. I also want to play Adrian Griffin Jr. I don't know if he's going to be playing year number 1, but I think Bogdanovic will definitely play, and I think Kevin Huerter is probably on his way out with that contract especially. So we're going to go ahead and probably get a new backup small forward for him. I mean, maybe I could move him or Huerter to small forward, but I'd rather make a trade. I'll see you guys on the move. So I know that Trae Young is playing next to a really good defensive player in Dejounte Murray. We're going to go ahead and acquire Marcus Smart, who just won Defensive Player of the Year, and he's going to kind of command that bench unit and provide a little bit of defense there. Overall wise, we can get into some rotations and stuff like that, but I think Smart's going to be a good addition for this team. And we give up Kevin Huerter, who honestly I think could be a Celtics option, that trade exception. I mean, they're not just going to give him up, but I think it'd be cool. They're obviously not going to get Marcus Smart for him, but I still think Marcus Smart would be a great addition to this Hawks team. But yeah, no, Marcus Smart staying in Boston. Okay, that being said, I think we still need a small forward. I'm going to go with a 10-man rotation for at least year number 1. I do not expect to be signing anybody too good. Nick Batum could be interesting. Lance Stevenson, Iggy. I wish the regression in this game just wasn't so crazy. Zeke Najee's here. I think the Kings wait, is he on the Kings? No, he's in Denver. I'm dumb. Who am I thinking of? I'm thinking of somebody else. Jaden McDaniels is here. We could maybe go that route, but I think I potentially could maybe do a sign and trade. Again, not a realistic rebuild. If I maybe sign a Zeke Naji, ooh, yeah, I can't trade him because he got released. That's the problem. So I'll sign like a DeLon Wright, who I believe might have actually been in Atlanta at one point. Lou Williams can go. Gorgie Jang can go as well. Yeah, everybody else is pretty much free to go, in my opinion. So, yeah, we'll bring in DeLon Wright, and then I'm going to go ahead and trade him for a small forward again. Doesn't need to be anybody too crazy. I mean, hypothetically, how tall? 6'6". You know what? I'm actually dumb. I'm going to go ahead. Who is Michael Davis? Who are you? I'm going to take a second round pick for DeLon Wright. I didn't realize I could have just played Adrian Griffin Jr. at the small forward spot, which is what I'm going to do. So, can I just... Do you need to give me Covington? God damn it. I kind of screwed this one up. I don't want to take 2 first because it feels like really cheap, and I'm not going to do that. I will just take... I don't even know. I'll just take a second round pick from the New York Knicks. There you go, Knicks. Congratulations. You got your point guard. Okay, cool. I'm going to move Adrian Griffin Jr. to the small forward spot. He's going to go ahead, and he is going to back up Deandre Hunter, and we are all set. And I'll see you guys at the start of year number 1. Start of year number 1 for us here in Atlanta. The starting 5 is as follows. Really no surprises. I think this is most likely going to be somewhat what this Atlanta starting 5 is going to look like. I don't know if John Collins is going to be a Hawk next year. I'm just saying some formation of this. Obviously, the backcourt's going to look like this with Trae Young and Dejounte Murray, which is going to be so dynamic. They're going to play very well together, in my opinion, and I'm super excited for it, obviously, just as a basketball fan. Kind of scares me as a Celtics fan. Deandre Hunter here, who I'd still like to, be able to progress a lot. I think he definitely could be a starter on a championship team, especially with a core like this around him. But, again, that's something to BD, and, again, we'll kind of figure that out as the years do go on. John Collins is still here, and then Clint Capella is still here as well. So this front court may not even be here next year, but I think the Hawks should keep them both, personally. Bogdan Bogdanovic going to be our 6th man here, followed by Marcus Smart, then Onyeka Okongwu, Adrian Griffin Jr., and Jalen Johnson. I'm excited to see what this team can do. I will see you guys at the end of year number 1. The first year ends here in Atlanta, and we are the 1 seed here in the Eastern Conference. I don't know if Atlanta is necessarily going to be a 1 seed next year. I still think they're probably going to be top 4, especially, actually considering the moves they make. I think they have the potential to be top 4. We're number 2 in the power rankings according to 2K. Mr. Luka Doncic, MVP. I have quite literally never seen anybody else win the MVP award in year number 1. Chet Holmgren, your rookie of the year at Oklahoma City. Brickleberry Simmons, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nick Claxton, most improved Willie Green coach of the year. At least we're not in the Western Conference, so we really don't have to face the Pelicans. So, unless they get to the finals, which would be cool. All right, let's take a look at the standings. We went 62-20. Pretty impressive record for, it's not a team that just kind of came together. They've obviously added some pieces, traded some pieces away, but this team really was kind of built. The majority of it really was. So I'm pretty happy with it right now. Player stats in the year: Trae Young balled out, probably an MVP candidate, followed by John Collins, Dejounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Onyeka Okongwu, Smart, Griffin, Jalen Johnson. Let's go to rebounds. That would be Capella, and assists would be Trae Young. So, first round here, we're going to sim the play and see who we got. It's going to be the Indiana Pacers, making a return to the playoffs. Tyrese Halliburton, who they basically stole from the Sacramento Kings. Malcolm Brogdon, who definitely could be moved this offseason. Chris Duarte. They added Miles Bridges, which is interesting enough. I'm assuming he's probably going to go back to Charlotte, but Indiana would be an interesting spot. Miles Turner, Isaiah Jackson, Buddy Hield. Let's go game by game with them, see if we can get by them here in the first round. They're a good young team, but I think we're just a lot better at this point in time, and we do win in 5, and we're moving on to the Philadelphia 76ers. James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. I don't know if Tobias Harris is going to be a Sixer next year. I think Philadelphia should probably try to trade him. That contract is not too pretty, but again, they're probably not going to be getting much. You're probably going to have to be giving up a lot to dump that contract. And we're down 3-1 right now, and we lose in 5 games. We win game 1, I'm pretty sure, and then I think we lost 4 straight. I think that's how it went. But nonetheless, not exactly great. In the Boston Celtics redeem themselves and go on to win the finals in the first season, and Jason Tatum is your finals MVP. Congratulations, JT. Hey, if we couldn't do it, at least my Celtics did it. Let's hit the draft lottery now, where I don't think we're going to have to be worrying about having any first-round picks in the lottery. Wow, look at the Thunder. They have projected 11, 12, and 14. And number 1. That's pretty interesting. So we end up with the 28th overall pick. I will use it. A lot of you guys have been asking me to maybe use my later first round picks along with some early seconds potentially. And I will go ahead and do that. I'm not going to fire Nate McMillan. I still think he's a pretty decent head coach. We'll head up to the draft. I will double check if we have any second round picks. We do. We actually have 3 of them. I'm not going to use 3 second round picks. I'll use 2. I'll use 1 of them. No. All right. I'm not using any of them then. I don't want these picks. Thank you, Milwaukee. We will use our 28th overall pick, see who's available for us on the board. Position-wise, there's really not a huge need, so I might just take maybe the best player available. We will see. Christian Baylor, who is a draft and stash, it looks like. This player currently has a contract with an overseas team, is an eligible sign to be a contract for 1 year, so he could be with us by the 3rd year. Honestly, it's not a horrible option. I just really don't think we need a point guard. Azulas Tubulus. Now you sound like somebody who would be overseas. I'm not going to lie. Grady Dick, based off name alone, I might draft him. You know what? We're taking Grady Dick. Welcome to Atlanta. And you are now a Hawk. You're 72 overall. It's obviously not too great. Maybe spend some time in the G League. And Onyeka Okongwu is coming back. Bogdanovic picks up that player option for $18 million. Jalen Johnson, definitely want him back on that team option. Qualifying offers, Deandre Hunter, definitely want to offer that. We would like him back on this team. I think I do want him starting definitely next year as well. I am going to give him a real contract. And other than that, I really don't plan on changing too much overall-wise with this team. I mean, again, we were a 1 seed, obviously lost to the 76ers, which wasn't obviously ideal. But I think we're in a good spot. I think Bogdanovic, he might be expiring. Is he? He is. What I might do now is I might either trade him for a shooting guard or a small forward that has another year potentially, so we maybe don't have to re-sign him and pay him as much money, and then maybe move Adrian Griffin Jr. back to that shooting guard or keep him at small forward, depending what does end up happening there. I'm very comfortable with this front court still. I still think it's a very good front court, probably one of the better front courts in the entire Eastern Conference. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to basically play it by ear right now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to give Deandre Hunter a real contract as soon as we do get through the moratorium phase. And then I think we're pretty much in a good spot right now. I don't really think this team needs a ton done to it. I think ultimately if we keep developing, I think this team's probably going to be once again on top of the Eastern Conference. So Deandre Hunter, basically a 4-year, $80 million deal. Jalen Brunson, these contracts are looking a lot different than the $100 million plus that he's probably going to be getting this offseason. It's time to make a trade. We're making another trade here with the Celtics. You might be asking, why are you trading Bogdanovic, who's a decent scorer off the bench, can shoot the basketball a little bit, for Derek White? And let me explain it to you. They're on very similar, money-wise contracts. Age-wise, they're very similar. Derek White just has an extra year, which I think is going to be huge for us moving forward. We have a lot more flexibility. And if you take a look at the stats, they're honestly not too crazy. I thought the three-point shooting would be mostly what it was. 31% here and 31% here. So we're not really losing a ton here. And I think Derek White also adds an element of defense along with that extra year. I think it's pretty clutch for us. So we now have 2 of Boston's backcourt players, which you might be calling me a Celtics homer or whatever you want to call me. But overall wise, I'm happy with the move. Derek White, welcome to Atlanta. Other than that, we're going to roll with the punches and see how this team does in year number 2. I'll see you guys with the rotation. We are here for year number 2. The entire starting 5 remains the same. That's really not shocking. We were a 1 seed last year. Had a pretty bad second round of the playoffs, but ultimately I do think this team should once again be in contention for a championship. Starting 5 is as follows. Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, that's not who I'm talking about, Dejounte Murray, followed by DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and then Clint Capella rounds out the starting 5. Really no shocks there. Derek White will be our 6th man. He's kind of taken over that Bogdanovic role. Again, just has an extra year, more flexibility for us if we want to make a potentially a bigger trade this offseason. Followed by Onyeka Okongwu, Adrian Griffin Jr., Marcus Smart. You might be asking me, why am I playing Griffin Jr. more minutes than Smart? And it's because, honestly, Trae Young is just in need of playing a lot more of the point guard minutes, and I don't need Smart as much. And Adrian Griffin Jr. is developing. Followed by Jalen Johnson. I am now going to go ahead and potentially send our boy here, Grady Dick, down to the College Park Skyhawks. I have no idea who they are. Can I say J.D. Davison as well? No, I cannot. Celtics second round pick this year. All right, this team's in another good spot. I'd like to once again to be a 1 seed here in the East. Let's see if we can do it. I'll see you guys at the end. We don't have to do anything. I'll see you guys at the end of year number 2. Second straight season of Luka Doncic winning the MVP award and us being the 1 seed here in the Eastern Conference. We were obviously hoping for a different result come playoff time, but I will still take the 1 seed. Scoot Henderson, your rookie of the year, is in Utah. Ben Simmons, 6th man of the year. Jaren Jackson Jr., defensive player of the year. Typically, it's just Giannis every year, so I'm excited to see somebody new. Jaren Jackson Jr., obviously a tremendous defensive player. Malachi Branham, most improved, is in San Antonio. At least somebody's doing something good in San Antonio. Nate McMillan wins Coach of the Year for us as we go 62-20, and you honestly do love to see it. We're 8 games up on the Celtics, who are the defending champions. We are probably going to have to play them at some point, and that makes me a little nervous. Trae Young averages a double-double on the year, and he is very good. John Collins, Dejounte Murray, DeAndre Hunter, Clint Capella, Derek White, Adrian Griffin Jr., Onyeka Okongwu, Jalen Johnson, Marcus Smart. Danelle House played a couple minutes. That's pretty cool to see. Rebounds went to Clint Capella, and assists was Trae Young. So once again, we're going to sim the plan, and we got the Charlotte Hornets here in round number 1, a battle of 2 really young and elite point guards here in the Eastern Conference. They added Zach LaVine to their squad. Still got Hayward starting, PJ Washington. They added Brandon Clark. They still got Scary Terry, James Bouknight, Trey Jones. Let's go game by game right now with the Hornets. I would not like to lose this first round. Are we really doing this right now? Seriously? We're up 3-2. Can we close them out? We close them out. Moving on to Brooklyn, who has definitely given me some problems in some rebuilds recently. I mean, obviously, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Brickleberry Simmons. That's a pretty dangerous combo right there. Let's go game by game with them, see if we can get by them here in round number 2. We are up 3-0, and one more game. And we're on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and here come the Celtics, the defending NBA champions. We obviously took Marcus Smart and Derek White from them, but they're still a very good team. They still have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Rob Williams, Peyton Pritchard, Jalen Smith. They added Andre Drummond, which is nasty in all sorts of way. Spencer Dinwiddie, Kevin Huerter, who I traded there, and Bogdanovich. That's pretty funny. And they got Grant Williams coming off the bench. They're a very deep team there in Boston. I'm hoping we get the best of them. We're down 2-1 right now. We're down 3-1. And that's all she wrote for us here. And the Celtics go back-to-back. If you're going to do it in the game, do it in real life. Like, come the fuck on. Jesus Christ. At least they beat the Pelicans. That makes me a little bit happy. All right, we're entering our final season where it might be time to make some sort of a big trade. We're obviously not going to have anything in the lottery. The top 5 is the Thunder, the Kings, the Raptors, the Thunder again, and then the Grizzlies. A little bit of a surprise that they were not too good. Nate McMillan just won Coach of the Year. I'm not going to let him go. I'm going to go ahead and bring him back. I don't necessarily think he's a bad head coach. I mean, I said I liked him earlier. He's not my favorite coach in the league. I just don't think he deserves to be fired after winning Coach of the Year. It's been done before, though. We're not going to use our first-round pick this year. I just really don't feel as if I need it. I mean, seriously? Oh, my God, come on. All right, who wants to give me give me a set. That's fine. All right, let's head up to team player options right now and see what we got. Jalen Johnson, Adrian Griffin Jr. are definitely both coming back to this team. Qualifying Okongwu, J.D. Davison can go. I don't really need him. I think he definitely could be something for Boston eventually. I just think he's more of a project than anything. Dejounte Murray is a free agent. He is definitely somebody we need to bring back. I'd rather not screw with that. And I'm going to pay Okongwu as well. They both come back. Okongwu is getting that qualifying offer, but it's fine. I really wasn't going to trade him. He's obviously more than a serviceable backup center. He potentially could be starting for a lot of teams. So welcome back. So we got this entire squad moving forward, but, you know, something's not adding up completely. I think it might be time for a move probably somewhere, and I'll see you guys with a trade. We're going to go ahead and try to get Michael Porter Jr. from the Denver Nuggets. Overall-wise, this is an upgrade, like 82 versus 87. That's what I mean. Player-wise, I kind of like Deandre Hunter on this team. I think he brings better defense than what Michael Porter Jr. would bring. But this game does have like a man crush on MPJ. He always progresses super well and actually ends up playing super well. I mean, numbers-wise, 18, 7, and 2 is not bad versus 14.5, 3, and 1.5. We're probably getting an upgrade. I don't know necessarily if it's the best fit in the world, but we needed to make something happen. And John Collins is actually playing really, really well for me. So he's not going to be the guy. And I think Clint Capella, if you make a center upgrade, it's really not going to be anybody that's going to really impact it way to the level that we probably need. So Michael Porter Jr. is probably going to be the guy. And DeAndre Hunter, unfortunately, is probably going to be the odd man out. And let's hope I have the assets for this, because honestly, I really don't have a lot of first-round picks. How about one more first? Because that's honestly really all I have to offer. You're just not interested. Do you want Griffin Dick or Grady Dick? And they want Grady Dick, I guess. Welcome to the team, Michael Porter Jr. We're going to roll into the final season with Trae Young not having a backup, and it's going to be a 9-man rotation. This is a pretty good squad, in my opinion. We obviously have now lost to the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals and the 76ers in the Eastern Conference Semifinals. We didn't make a ton of moves in this video, and honestly, this was a team that really didn't need it. I think progression kind of took us the way it was going to the entire time in the video, and I'm happy with the squad we got. I'll see you guys at the start of the third and final year. Year number 3, the third and final year. We made an upgrade here at the small forward spot, at least in my opinion, healthy. I think Michael Porter Jr. is probably an upgrade over DeAndre Hunter. You can have various opinions if you want in the comment section. But I'm comfortable with this team. We are obviously now in a 9-man rotation. As you can see, Trae Young, Dejounte Murray, Michael Porter Jr., John Collins, and Clint Capella. The bench unit, Derek White, Onyeka Okongwu, Adrian Griffin Jr., and Jalen Johnson. It's a very deep team we have here in Atlanta. It's obviously only a 9-man rotation, so Trae Young won't have a backup. And then obviously in some sets, Murray will probably play point guard. Maybe Derek White gets a few of those minutes. Whatever it may be, I think this team's set up for success. I'll see you guys at the end of the third and final year. And we end the third and final year once again for the third straight season as the 1 seed here in the Eastern Conference. Mr. Trae Young is your MVP. So the two guys who got traded for each other back in the 2018 draft end up winning all the MVPs of this video. I think that's probably going to go down as one of the bigger win-win trades in NBA history. Obviously, Dallas probably got the little bit of the better end just because they got like a historic franchise player. I mean, Trae Young is very, very good at basketball. I just think Luka Doncic is just on another level. That's just my opinion, though. DJ Wagner, Rookie of the Year, is in Sacramento. I am so sorry for your career being there. Sixth Man of the Year, Ben Simmons. Jaren Jackson Jr. went to his second straight Defensive Player of the Year. Kira Lewis Jr., Most Improved. We went 71-11, and Nate McMillan went to his second straight Coach of the Year. That's pretty cool to see. You win 71 games, you hope to win a championship. I mean, the 73-win Warriors probably thought that. Obviously, things do change, though. Trae Young, Michael Porter Jr. brought that other element of scoring that we were kind of looking for. John Collins, Dejounte Murray, Clint Capella, Derek White, Adrian Griffin Jr., Okongwu Johnson. Who is this? Chris Brown Jr., Charles Brown Jr. Rebounds per game was Clint Capella, and assists was Trae Young. So, playing once again, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, who I think is probably going to stay in Cleveland. I mean, obviously, things could change in just a couple hours whenever you're seeing this video, but we'll see. Lamar Stevens, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen, definitely one of the best front courts in the entirety of the NBA. We'll go game by game here with Cleveland. They are a good team. Nonetheless, we're up 3-1, and we close them out in 6. Moving on. Oh, did not mean to do that. Moving on to Brooklyn here. Kyrie, Cam Thomas, Kessler Edwards, KD, Durant, Sharp, Ben Simmons, Hamidou Diallo, Caleb Martin. Pretty good bench they've built up there in Brooklyn. I'd like to win some more games here. We are up 2-1. We are 2-2, so we got a best of 3. We go up 3-2. That's a big, decisive game. And we win in 6. We got Orlando here in the Eastern Conference Finals. Keontae George, Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Mo Bamba, who is not going to be in Orlando then in this upcoming season. What a bench. They got Desmond Bane and Wendell Carter Jr., Jalen Smith, Jonathan Isaac, and Isaiah Roby all coming off the bench. Holy shit, you have an 87 overall as your 6th man and an 86th overall as your 7th man. Interesting. We went in 5. We are moving on, and here come the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman. They got Moses Moody, Chuma Okeke, Luka Garza, Josh Minott. God, I don't really care what the team surrounding him is. Steph Curry just gets shit out of me, and we're up 3-0, and we sweep them. And Trae Young wins the regular season MVP award, and he wins the finals MVP award. Obviously, there was not a ton of moves made in this video. I think a team like the Atlanta Hawks, they don't really need a ton of moves in a rebuild like this. I think they obviously have a ton of pieces moving forward that's going to make them a contender in the Eastern Conference, whether that be this year, next year, the years following. But this is still a really good and really young team, and I ultimately think they are going to be competing for a championship. So, nonetheless, we got them a championship, which is always good. I would have liked to get them more than one, but beggars can't be choosers at this point. So, let me know your thoughts on Dejounte Murray to the Atlanta Hawks down below in the comments section. I've already given mine. If you want to know some more of them, you're more than welcome to check them out on Twitter. I think it's a fat dub for Atlanta, and I'm still a little bit confused on this for the side of San Antonio. Somebody wants to talk me into the explanation. I mean, I get why they did it. They want to blow it up and just fucking suck to go after Victor Wembanyama, but like, Dejounte Murray's 25. He's not 30. Like, come on. Point still stands. You can make your argument in the comment section below. Obviously, free agency opens in just a few hours, so if there's any huge moves that warrant a rebuild, I will do them. I'll probably do a Jalen Brunson rebuild. I don't know if he warrants it. I mean, some of the bigger names are probably staying put. I think Bradley Beal's going to go back to Washington. I think Zach LaVine's going to go back to Chicago. James Harden looks like he's 100% going back to Philly. I mean, some of these things might have pretty much already been foregone conclusions at this point. But nonetheless, I'll keep it shorter. I'll try to shorten up this outro a little bit. If you guys want to see a rebuild with your favorite player if he leaves his team, let me know down below in the comment section along with any other video ideas. Of course, you guys new around here, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We'd love to have you. The community is growing, and I honestly am super appreciative of all of you. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.